Thank you for joining me for another episode of Keeping It Real with America's Supermom. I am excited to have my next guest. We actually got connected through V Team Referral Network. So we want to give a shout out to Terry Lee, who connected us in some wide way in the world. And so Dina is here. I'm so excited to get to know you a little better and to share you with the audience. But before we get into great conversation, I want to give you the opportunity to say a few words about yourself.
Thank you. I truly appreciate being here and you honoring me. It has been a whirlwind of a roller coaster. So my name is Dina Legland. I am what most of my clients call me, the inner warrior coach. I have a background in nursing. I've been a nurse for it's as long as I've been married, 33 years. But I'm also a transformational life and health coach. And I started my coaching business called Wellness Warriors for Life. And the reason that name came to be, because a lot of people ask me, Dina, where did Wellness Warriors for Life come from? And what I say is, cancer saved my life and my fears almost killed me. It has been the last decade, the last 10 years my life has totally transformed. And the Wellness Warriors for Life came to be when I had lost, in 2010, I lost 110 pounds and got very, very healthy. I was working out, eating healthy. I totally transformed, not only physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And then all of a sudden, 6 years later, I got diagnosed with aggressive form of breast cancer, HER2 triple positive. And I am in remission as of today. And this October will be 5 years. But I went through a year of chemotherapy, bilateral mastectomy, and I'm up to my 4th reconstructive surgery. And the wellness part of my business is because I had lost all the weight. The warrior part is from being a conqueror, a survivor, a thriver, whatever word you want to put to it today. And I believe that wellness should be for a lifetime. All right. So that's where Wellness Warriors for Life came to be.
I love that. And, we all have to deal with the warrior inside, and I love that title because so often we look for outer strength, outer methods of proving that we're successful or that we're healthy or all these things. So talk to us about how you were able to make that shift to understand that it was an inside job more so than the things that we strive for on the outside.
How I dealt with it was that I had to do a lot of inner work. When I say that my fears almost killed me, being a nurse and dealing with the population of death and dying along with birth, it really made me realize that I was not afraid of my diagnosis. I was not afraid of dying. What I was most afraid of was the feelings that I've had for many years of not being loved and disappointing others, because now I needed to take care of myself. Not my patients, not my friends, not my family members, not my husband and my daughters. I had to really do a lot of soul searching to figure out how to be me and get through this. There was a study done back in 2018 where 6% of the population across the globe we're experiencing the fear of a diagnosis, a fatal diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, today with the pandemic for the last year and a half, we came up against another kind of different toxic diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
And when I talk about fear, I say that it's just as toxic as cancer because it affects every aspect of our life.
Mm-hmm.
And we lose the quality of our life. You know, we're just so torn and we're just so fearful of whatever is going on that we actually can decrease the quality of our life, and we end up having some illnesses or even some diseases. It paralyzes us. We can't
Mm-hmm.
take the next step to live the most abundant, fulfilled life that we deserve.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And, you know, so many people are in that space, you know,
Oh,
with this COVID and, you know, jobs changing, you know,
oh,
losing loved ones. So, you know, what do you do to kind of keep yourself in a positive wellness state of mind in spite of all these things? And I mean, being in the healthcare industry such as yourself, I mean, I can only imagine. So, what are some things that we could tell people that are watching? Because I know that it is, and even though we're kind of like on the tail end, so we
Mhm.
think, I don't know, you know,
Yeah,
it's
we just
crazy. You never know what can happen. But, you know, what are some things that we can kind of, you know, glean from to understand how we can navigate through here a lot better without that fear?
right. I would say the number one step of what I would call my four-step process is
Mhm.
really identifying what we're most fearful of.
Mm.
We have to be true to ourselves. We have to be honest with ourselves.
Mhm.
Um, because once we identify that fear, we can actually take the steps to overcome it and then become fierce or fearless.
Mm.
Okay. Once we identify it, then we actually start to regain our power and we feel
Mhm.
empowered by saying, okay, this is what I'm most afraid of. It is affecting this part of my life, whether it's my career, whether it's my relationship, whether it's my finances, whatever it might be, my health, my
Mhm.
mind. And once we identify it and we start taking the steps to conquer it, we feel energized, we feel more powerful.
Mhm.
And it does not happen overnight, let's face it.
Mhm.
We have to look in that mirror and say to ourselves, who am I? What do I want? What do I want to gain? All right. It's taking care of yourself. It's not being selfish.
Mhm.
It's just taking care of yourself. What serves me? What doesn't serve
Mhm.
me? Okay.
Mhm.
What will this do for me? People don't ask those questions to themselves.
So true. I was on that roller coaster for 13 years with depression, okay? Wasn't
Yes.
thinking about it. So
No.
that is so powerful that you would say that.
Right. And
Mhm.
then I've seen through helping my clients, whether it's my one-on-one clients or my group program, that once we start getting that power back and
Mhm.
that energy back,
Mhm.
we have a totally different outlook on things. We have a little bit of an attitude going, like, I got
Mhm.
this.
So true. I mean, you know, you think about it,
Right?
like scary movies, you know, they don't know where the enemy is, so to speak. You know what I mean? They're looking around, moving slow, but once they can identify the target, you can use
Right.
all that fuel for the outcome rather
Yes.
than trying to decide is the person here or there or whatever the case may be. So I love that because that is so true on how
Right.
you're able to do that. So I love everything you're doing. I mean, what would you say for people is the key to maintaining this level of awareness and, reflection. What do you do in your routine that, because like I said, COVID just was a whole other.
Whole other kit and caboodle.
I'm
Whole
like,
no,
hey, that was Titanic and, everything you could think of in one
absolutely.
swoop. Okay. Um,
Absolutely.
so,
So
what is it that you do to kind of keep you focused and grounded?
it's an excellent question, and thank you for asking it. And that's actually kind of the fourth step of my process that I help my clients with,
Mm-hmm.
because once we got once, like I said, the first step was identifying it.
Mm-hmm.
The second step is you start to learn the tools to conquer it, and you get energized. And then once you get to the point of, oh, I got this, and I got a little bit of that positive attitude going on,
Mm-hmm.
you end up building resilience. And what I mean by that is the fears never completely go away.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you start to get those triggers that start to bring that fear back up, you're like, oh, I remember I can do my meditation. I
Mm-hmm.
can go for my walk. I could say positive affirmations to myself. Um, Eating healthy and working out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now those fears start to come back up, but now you're also know that it's starting to surface.
Mm-hmm.
You realize the tools that you learned to keep it in control. Do we have good days and bad days? Of course we do,
Mm-hmm.
without a doubt. But the key is realizing and giving yourself the permission to allow those feelings to resurface, but to keep them at a distance
Mm-hmm.
and say, okay, I'm starting to feel this again. What do I need to do to stay in check?
Mm-hmm.
And what, some of the things that I do is I self-talk. I
Mm-hmm.
know people might think I'm crazy, but I'm always talking to myself.
Amen. Amen. I'm the same way. Hey, you got to interrupt that pattern. So,
Right.
you got to do it
Exactly.
for you. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the thing. If I start to feel it's starting the nerves and the worry and the anxiety creeping up again, I totally stop. I don't care where I am. I
Mm-hmm.
totally stop, and I just take a couple of deep breaths,
Mm-hmm.
and I say to myself, am I in any danger?
Mm-hmm.
Because fear, you have that fight or flight experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that is good when the bear is chasing you or the
Right.
tiger's chasing you. But
Right.
is this situation really that dangerous?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's what I say to myself.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And, so talk to us with many people who are going through these uncertain times.
Mhm.
Maybe it's health or, financial, what do we tell people? Because, I know that when we find friends and relatives that, maybe they have COVID, and
Mhm.
for some people that could be life threatening. I had an uncle who passed away at the beginning of the year from COVID, so
I'm sorry.
thank you. But it's like, what do you say to people, not to, to help them through this? Because I'm saying you had cancer, and, it's like you tell people, and then it's like, no one knows what to say because
Right.
a lot of it comes from our own fear. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, how should we respond with something like that?
We I The best thing, because now it's like nursing hat, coach hat,
Mhm.
patient hat, because I've had them all.
Right.
It's something. Sometimes you really truly don't need to say anything. You just
Mhm.
need to have somebody know that you're by their side.
Mhm.
You got their back.
Mhm.
The thing is, ask. What can I do for you? Okay.
Mhm.
Is there anything that you need? It's very difficult. Some people don't want to feel like they're a burden. One of the
Right.
hardest things to do is ask for help. That's
Yeah.
more courageous when you ask for help.
So true.
It was one of the hardest things that I had to do because, once again, I had the fear of not being loved and
Mhm.
not being there for people because that's what I did for so many years.
Mhm.
So I would say sometimes, and I do this with a lot of people, say, it's okay to feel the way you're feeling.
Mhm.
Do you want to talk about it?
Mhm.
Is there something on your mind? You know, um, we could say all the positive things, but when you're
Mhm.
having a really crappy day, that's the last thing you want to hear from
Yeah.
somebody. I want to hear from somebody, and a lot of my clients say the same thing, especially the women that I deal with that are in remission. They want to hear, yeah, this stinks. I know
Mhm.
exactly how you feel.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm.
Can If you haven't walked in those shoes, yes, it's more difficult to say I understand.
Mhm.
And that's another thing people don't realize. I rather someone say, and I've heard this from my own clients, I rather somebody say, I can't understand. I don't know how to even think about what this would do if it happened to me. But
Right.
just know that a positive attitude, positive thinking
Mm.
is one of the best things anybody can do. Yes, we can eat
Mhm.
healthy, we can move more, we can drink our water, we can listen to whatever meditation
Mhm.
CDs or apps that you have, you
Mhm.
know, and it's just more. I find that it's more comforting to just say, it's okay that you feel like this today.
Mhm.
What can we do? What's one step you can take that will help you get through this? Because
Mm.
we're all very different, and that's the key too. One diagnosis, I explain this, that especially in nursing, when
Mhm.
you're a diabetic, this person can be diagnosed with diabetes and this person can be diagnosed with diabetes, but their symptoms and everything that they go through can be totally different.
Mhm.
And it's the same thing with your fears. It's the same thing with a fatal disease diagnosis.
Mhm.
You know, the COVID, like you said, unfortunately, you lost a loved one.
Mhm.
I have a brother-in-law who went through it. He was very, very sick,
Mhm.
didn't end up hospitalized, but he was sick for a month and a half,
Mhm.
very close to being admitted to the ICU.
Mhm.
So our bodies, physically, mentally, and emotionally, are so different. So you have to read between the lines sometimes.
Mhm.
You really just need to just listen to somebody too.
Mhm.
Just being that ear for them and letting them vent and getting it off their chest is is amazing as well.
Yeah. I love that because I think, so often, we forget about that when
Yeah,
people are going through hard times. And,
right.
I love the warrior piece because, you know, people just feel like something you're going through is contagious. It's
Yeah.
like, you have COVID or, I mean, cancer. It's like, oh, I don't know what to say and I don't want it. And, you just go through that period where you feel like you're alone and,
Mhm.
everything that was normal just becomes awkward.
Right.
So, there is that work that has to be done in terms of that period where you notice people may be falling away for whatever reason. They feel like, they don't know what to say. So,
That is true.
yeah,
Very
walk
true.
us through what, you have to do to kind of strengthen yourself during that time, because so often we think, saying positive things and having a good attitude, that's one thing. But when you feel like, yeah, if that could be the easy prescription when everything else was staying the same, but then other things are changing.
Right.
You're noticing things in your body, or, your family dynamic is not the same. Everybody has this somewhat fear that's not talked about. So walk us through what your life was like going through that.
It was at times very difficult. Um, Unfortunately, I had one or two friends that I don't speak to anymore because they did not know how to deal with
Mm,
the way I looked. I was completely bald,
wow.
completely bald. And I
Mm-hmm.
walked around my head bald and I said, this is me. Take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of women don't feel that way. They would wear a wig, or they wear
Mm-hmm.
beanies, or, their scarves. I did too, because it was the winter time.
Yeah.
Whenever I was at the house with my family or working out or whatever, I was bald. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I had to come to terms with allowing people to just be. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't it wasn't about me. I didn't take it personally.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I didn't do anything. I'm still the same person. I look a little bit different. I feel different because, chemotherapy made me sick.
Mm-hmm.
I was weak at times, I didn't have the endurance
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. And I just had to say, along with, a lot of the clients and a lot of the women that I deal with in Facebook groups and support groups, you have to be able to say, it has nothing to do with me. It's their issue.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start to go through that process and realize that, and give yourself the permission to you could feel sad. I did,
Mm-hmm.
but I said, I have to take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I have to physically and mentally take care of myself. And if this person doesn't want to take this journey with me, some people stay stuck where they are,
Mm-hmm.
while the rest of us are growing and changing. And it doesn't have to, you don't have to be diagnosed with something for that. That can be
Right.
any area of your life.
Mm-hmm.
People stay stuck where they are while you're growing and developing and changing. And that's okay.
Yeah.
So
So,
what I say is just give yourself the time to really let that sink in mentally,
mm-hmm.
and say to yourself, okay, it's like the seasons, they come and go,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's hard. I'm not going to say it's easy,
Mm-hmm.
but I just kept saying to myself, the people that are in my life, the people that want to help me, the people that are giving me all the love and support is where my energy went to.
Mm-hmm.
And I left those people behind me.
I love that. And, I just think that's a real issue to bring up, because,
Yes.
we look back and it's like, man, I learned so much from this journey, but, there's the casualties of war, I would say, that come out of the being a warrior,
Right.
that sometimes we don't talk about. And, it's part of the process. There may be somebody who's at that place and they're trying to drag somebody with them rather than just releasing and having, saving that energy for their self
For
to
themselves.
be
Right.
able to strengthen past that journey. So I love that you share that. So this is just phenomenal. Being able to take your life lessons and now be a instrument of change for other people. I just think it's phenomenal and so inspiring.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
Mhm.
those kind words.
I mean, it is
Uh,
true, you know? It definitely, I mean, it's like, so often, when I went through my journey, it was, the only example I just really remembering is that people just kind of file their past away in a
mhm,
closet, and it's like, oh, don't open that door. Let's just go on as life is just perfect and bliss. But when you're able to kind of weave that into the fabric of who you are,
mhm.
there's a certain amount of strength. You just can't put a name to it.
Right,
It's being whole. Recognizing that we have flaws, we have things that happen, but it's all in the perspective that or the lens that you choose to look out of. That
right.
can help you to move past it. So I think it's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's quite a journey, as you said. You
Hmm.
really realize what is important, what you want, who you are,
Hmm.
and what you will tolerate or not tolerate, if that's an appropriate word to use at this point.
Hmm.
It's I like to say the words that doesn't serve me.
Yeah.
And like I said before, serving me is not being selfish,
Hmm.
It has nothing to do with that. Some people
Hmm.
might feel that way
Hmm.
in your life, but it's really not.
So true. I love that. Now, so what do you think you gleaned most from your journey that helped you to go through COVID?
What helped me get through that whole journey, it brought back a little bit of the war or the battle I had going through the cancer,
Mm.
because you really kind of have like post traumatic,
Mhm.
you know, it's like, wait a minute. Okay, I got diagnosed with breast cancer, an aggressive form,
Mhm.
and now all of these COVID patients are getting diagnosed.
Mhm.
And now it's just like, okay, what do I do? All right. In order to, you feel for these people. You really
Mhm.
truly do. But then it brought back a lot of flashback memories.
Mhm.
And it was more of, okay, I still have to be careful on where I go, wearing my mask. You know, some of the fears started to creep up, and it was just like, all right, how do we deal with this? And
Mhm.
we need to really just stay focused, take care of ourselves, take care of our health, and be okay with the fact that, all right, these feelings are coming up again. I
Mhm.
know how to handle them. I handled them in the past. It's time to refocus myself again.
I love
And
that.
it really, I hope I answered that,
Yeah,
because
that was
it's
great.
just like, woo.
That was great because, that's the thing, people being able to see that and hear that, it can encourage them to understand that, you've had some monumental things that have happened in your life outside of what you could control, but you have the ability to look back and see where you came from, to know that
Right,
you're going to make it in the future, and being able to understand what tools you have in your own journey that you
right.
can go back and gather for such a time as this. So I think it was a great answer. I love
Thank
that.
you. Because
So
I
what
had things in my head going, and I was just like, hmm.
I love it. Yeah. So what is the best way for the audience to get a hold of you?
Okay. um, Anybody can just email me at Dina at wellnesswarriorsforlife.com.
Mhm.
My website is wellnesswarriorsforlife.com. I'm on LinkedIn as Dina Legland, and
Mhm.
then the Inner Warrior Coach shows up on
Mhm.
LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Wellness Warriors for Life.
I love that. I mean, I love that title, because I think,
And
we got to start with the positivity and, it's a battle. Everyone thinks it's so easy to, do these good things, but it takes work. I look
yes,
at everybody who gets recognized for their greatness. It's all the behind the scenes, the work
right,
that nobody sees, for
right.
5 minutes of fame is what I would say.
you have to you have to conquer. How I say it is, you have to conquer one battle at a time
Mhm.
to get to victory
I love that. That's
and conquer that fear.
so perfect. Yes. And I'm so glad that you came on. I mean, this insight that you gave, I'm sure it just definitely can be a blessing to so many people that are watching. So I just want to thank you for your transparency and being able to share, because that light, I'm sure, can help somebody else who may feel like they're in darkness right now.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you. It was an honor to be here.
Well, we just really appreciate you sharing. And for those of you watching, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. And if something that Dina shared resonated, please share this video. Sometimes we can have those ahas just by listening in on somebody else's conversation, because the questions that were asked may be the very ones that they are wondering for themselves. So, we want to thank you guys so much for watching, and please tune in for our next episode. Bye for now, everybody.